and now look to Dustin Lance-Black to continue the case for the proposition.
Thank you. You're right. I really just want to be in the same room that Tom was when he spoke here last. You nailed it. I'm here to argue the case of hope for progress over this next decade. Now, I think, if I'm not wrong, you have more hope in you than you claim in that quite depressing downer we just heard about the truth. It was factual. You were right. But I don't agree with how you define hope. Hope is not something we observe in the world, in other people's actions. To me, hope is something incredibly personal. It lives in your heart, it lives in your soul, and it is fuel. It is fuel for progress. It is not sufficient. It is a necessary piece of progress, but it is not sufficient. I would agree with you there. But it is necessary. And I want to walk through what this personal, very personal argument for hope for progress is for me. And maybe as I'm doing it, you can answer the question for yourself, what is it for you? A few things that I hope to see progress on over the next decade. Number one, further equality, meaning an even playing field. You got an equal shot no matter who or how you love, your gender identity, the color of your skin, or the God that you pray to. An equal shot. I want to see curiosity start to replace fear and isolationism. In fact, they have a very difficult time living in the same space, don't they? Curiosity gives us interest in the other, in people who are very different. And I don't just say that because it's cool or PC or makes us feel good. I say it because I want to see progress. And in order to solve these seemingly impossible problems, we are going to need perspectives that are quite diverse. People looking at the problems that we face from multiple perspectives. We're going to need that. That will mean embracing diversity. I then would love to see education and equal access to education made a priority. It is not on this planet right now. And it is so critical that it be a priority. Because as Benjamin Franklin said when he was building a democracy in my country, a democracy is only as strong as its population is educated. And we're living in an era of misinformation where the truth has lost its worth. Now, these are just a few of the things that I hope to see change over the next decade. But we're not in a good place. We are in a dire place. I will likely agree with everything you say about how difficult the challenges are ahead, and in fact, probably impossible, seemingly impossible to conquer. And that's when I get to this word, this incredibly powerful word called hope. But I want to talk about personally where it comes from for me. For me, hope starts in the story of my grandmother and my mother, who were raised in the poorest city in the United States of America, Lake Providence, Louisiana. My grandmother, a single mother of 9, living on a tenant farm. And one night, her 2-year-old daughter starts to complain that her legs are hurting. In fact, they have to kick my uncle off the couch because he's bouncing around saying it's hurting her. Any movement's hurting her. And everyone thought it was absurd and she was just complaining until around midnight when she couldn't breathe. And Koki, my grandmother, had to find someone with a car to get her to Mississippi, into a hospital, where her clothes were stripped off, my grandmother's clothes were stripped off and burned because my mother's condition said that a plague was coming called polio. My mother had it. Over the next many weeks and months, she lost the ability to move her legs, her hips, her body, her arms, and her ability to breathe. She grew up much of her youth in an iron lung until she fought and fought and fought to regain the ability to breathe and to use her arms so she could stand upright. She then, at 12 years old, decided to go through an incredibly dangerous surgery to fuse her spine with metal bars so that she could stand and not be in a wheelchair. And how was she rewarded for surviving that surgery? A nurse sat her down and listed out all of the realities of her situation, the impossibilities, that she would never be able to have an education like normal people, or a job like normal people, that she would never be able to fall in love or get married or have a child. Well, let me tell you what hope did for my mother. Hope attached to action which I heard you say, and I agree. That is the key. Hope attached to her action meant she did get an education. She fought hard for. She did get a job. And by the end of her career, my mother was running a laboratory in one of the most esteemed hospitals in the United States of America, where the president goes for care. And I am evidence standing before you that she had at least one child, in fact 3. That's what hope did for her. It fueled her. It gave her a reason to go on. Now, I've done a few things with that hope in my time. I was told 10 years ago that as a gay person in California, I would never in my lifetime have the right to be married. And a small group of us, really just 4 of us, said, no, we have hope that in our lifetime our relationships will be recognized equally. And what does that hope get you to do? It gets you to be bold, to be strong, to not accept the status quo, to not accept the leadership of others who you know are leading you astray. And so we decided, the 4 of us, after doing the hard work, taking the action, educating ourselves on how change is made, the coalitions that had to be built, the experts we needed to bring in, because hope needs that action. Hope needs that study. And once we had done that, if you were paying any attention, we not only changed the opinion of the entire United States of America, going from a nation that 10 years ago did not agree that we should have marriage equality, to a nation where the majority of people agreed, and so did a majority of the justices on the United States Supreme Court. And we didn't just win back marriage equality, which most people in the gay movement said was impossible, that it would create a backlash if we even demanded it. We changed the way that people felt. That was the fuel, and the fuel was hope. If you want progress in the next 10 years, yes, do what you're doing on your side. Identify the problems. Understand why they exist. But then do the hard work that it takes to become the leader that you need to be in order to make change. It is possible. I know it. I've sat in the Supreme Court when we won. I then, of course, didn't get married there. I came over here to this country to do that. But I want to say this about hope. You know, I, of course, would love to win this debate. I like winning. But I don't need to. Here's the thing about hope and progress. I don't need a majority of you to walk through that door saying you believe in hope and its power. All I need is one of you, to be strong enough to walk through that door and say, I have hope for this decade. I know the challenges are great, but I will rise to them. I will attach research and action to my hope and make my dreams a reality. I would love to see that one. I would love to see 3. It would move me greatly and bolster my own hope to see this entire room dedicate themselves to attaching action to their hope as they walk through that door, because the challenges are great. But let me tell you right now, we can rise to them. Thank you.